Congratulations on your Builder Gel Kit. We've already unpacked it. Now let me show you how to use it. Whenever I'm starting to work on something, I always like to lay down a mat to protect my surface. Maybe it's an old table, especially if it's wood. Put something down. So in the kit, I have included a towel, my super soft towel with a nice little logo. I suggest lay out your little cloth towel. And I'm going to start with practice fingers. I know you're eager to put this on fingers, but don't. I cannot stress this enough. You're going to learn how to do any kind of nail, from acrylic to press-on tips. Learn how to do it on fake fingers first. It's not as fun. I agree. It's not as good. I get it. But having to take it off is really not fun. And what we want to do is learn application first. We always want to learn application first. So if we focus on learning application first, we can chuck these things away, or you can pop them off and replace with new ones, or you can even pop the tip sometimes, the product off sometimes, and reuse it. I know I'm going on, but trust me when I tell you, don't put it on you or your friends who are willing to do it first. Don't do that. Use these tips, and that's what we're going to use today. And that's why I include it in every kit that I get, because these are designed, for when you're first learning and stuff. So here's a little stand. So you put your little stand there, and then you want to get a finger and put it inside. Now, you don't really have to have the stand, but it's practical if you don't want to, have it laying there on the table. I use a stand just so we know where the finger is, especially when we're filming. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little dapping dish, and I'm going to put it off to the side, but I'm going to fill it with some 70% alcohol. I find is the best. And I'm just going to put some alcohol in it so I have it for when I do need it. Okay, put the little lid on there. Okay, and then I'm going to get my files because I'm going to prep this. Now you don't have to, but I do suggest, especially if you're learning, do prep it, get used to that prepping, and it does change it a bit of a different color too. You'll be able to see that, and I'll walk you through that. So we're going to open up our files, and I'm going to grab the medium file. So I'm going to take my fake finger, because I'm not going to hurt anybody with a fake finger. I know I keep going back on that, but I can't stress it enough. I'm going to buff up this fake finger. And see what I mean about that chalky look? That's where you know that you've hit. And preparation is the key. Preparation is everything. You could do the greatest nail ever, but if you didn't prep it properly, it's gonna come off. So we wanna make sure we prep that nail properly. So you wanna get every little area. I'm gonna go all the way down the nail, making sure that I'm taking away all the shiny points. And that's another reason why I love these files, because see the rounded part? See that nice rounded? You can go right into the cuticle and make sure you get all that space. Now see this little lip on the fake finger? Don't hit that. We're gonna treat that like it's the cuticle that's kind of sticking up on the skin, right? That's what we wanna do. So what we wanna do is go up to the cuticle / proximal nail fold. I know it gets really confusing. I'm gonna refer to it as the cuticle because that's what we're pushing back, and that's what we wanna do on the natural nail. We wanna do up to that proximal nail fold or skin. We don't wanna get into that zone. So we want to push back ever so slightly and hit up to that area. We don't want to go over it, okay? So we're going to use that as a lip of the cuticle. That's why I like the little round, because I can really get in there. Because these fingers, let's face it, this is why I don't like fingers like this, but it's better than working on real people, is because when you look at a real finger, see the comparison? See how there's skin all around? Well, it's easy to do this because there's nothing there. But when you're working on a real person, there's skin there. And that's what you have to make note of when you're jamming in there. So it's easy when you're working on this because I've got clearance, total clearance on either side. When you have a real finger, you don't have that clearance. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to go all the way around this guy. And I'm going to make sure all the shiny spots are gone. Now we want to do this with a gentle file because we want to make sure we're not taking too many layers of the natural nail. But this has to be done if you want the product to stick. Okay, little spot right there. Now this is where the stand can be a little bit limiting. You can pick it up off of the stand, and to me, it's like, this is how I work a real finger. This is what I do in reality, to make sure I get every little spot. Now these fake fingers do require more buffing than a real finger. Okay, but I'm gonna keep it on the stand because it keeps the camera happy because then it knows where it is. Otherwise I'm all over the place. Okay, now I'm gonna get me little duster. Actually, I think I can just rip this open. They all have these little sticky tabs on them to hold it together. There's a nice little card in here. I forgot, I make all the cards, I make everything, but I just wanted to see what's, oh, it's just a nice little card. That's cute. Okay, so I'm gonna use my little duster. Why I included this is because I'm trying to avoid going like that or brushing it off with my finger. We don't wanna get into the habit. It's so easy to do and so tempting. Trust me, I've done it. We just don't wanna do it. But this is why we have a duster. So we can hold the finger and dust off the dust by not using our fingers or not blowing on it, okay? That's what that whole thing is about. So now we're gonna get a hold of our bridge. Now our bridge is the adhesion. This is how we use it. It's really how we use it. It's so, so important. Okay, so when you take your bridge out of the bottle, it's a runny, it's not sticky. Yeah, it's not really sticky, it's just runny kind of liquid. You wanna scrape it off one side. We don't wanna oversaturate. And when I put this on, I'm going to put it down on my nail and I'm going to do it in circles and I'm gonna massage it into all those grooves and nooks and crannies on that nail, okay? Everywhere you put your adhesive, your bridge, that's where the product is going to stick, okay? Then we're gonna take it and I'm gonna pop my fake finger and cure it for 60 seconds. Okay, now for the star of the show, your Suzies glass nails. This stuff is so incredibly clear. I absolutely love it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut into it. I usually kind of do this. I don't know. You don't have to do this. This is just me. I sort of just cut away half of it because I use sometimes the side of the foil to release product. Okay, I'm gonna get my gel brush. Okay, I'm gonna grab some lint-free pad. And the reason being is because I wanna condition my gel brush. And what that means, it looks like this. Okay, so I'm gonna dip gently and don't stir, never stir gel. I'm gonna dip into my gel. This is where I use see how I use that foil to cut it off. That's what I do sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to condition my brush. I just wipe it on the lint-free pad and I'll go back and forth like this. Yeah, we really don't want lint in there because it really messes up the gel. All I'm doing is just getting the brush with the gel inside of it. So it's really used to it. We just call it conditioning your gel brush or conditioning your brush in general. Okay, so I've got the gel all through the bristles. It's all very, very happy. It's all going one way. My bristles aren't going like that. We've got them all going nice one way. So my nail is ready to go. My brush is all conditioned and I'm going to get myself just a little bit of gel on me brush. Just a little bit. And I'm going to sever that little string there like that. All I'm doing is putting basically like an adhesion layer. It's like a float layer where your next gel, where you build, is going to stick to it. So I'm going to paint a nice little thin layer, like thin as nail polish, on top of this natural nail. Or the tip, sorry. In my mind, it's a natural nail. Okay, just make sure you get it on every part where you want the nail to be. The reason why we do this is because the gel will find its way to it. It's like building a path, like making a path, and that's the path you take. So the next blob of gel will follow this layer of gel and sort of stick to it, okay? I don't want to get it up on that cuticle there. I want to just put it on the nail. Now we don't want to cure this layer. This is just a layer to prep us for the next layer, so the next blob knows where to go. Now we're going to get that blob. Now, when you're learning, don't look for any type of style or grace or fluidness whatsoever. You're learning. We need to make lots of mistakes, big mistakes, little mistakes, all the mistakes before we get to what we're looking for. So we want to grab a nice little blob. Now, the number one thing with gel is don't stir that pot. Don't stir the pot. Not at all. We want to keep that so there's no bubbles in there. It's one of the hardest things I had to learn because I'm impatient and I'm going at it. But don't stir it up because that's where it invites bubbles, and we don't want bubbles in our gel. Okay, so now we're going to put that blob. And once we put it down, we don't want to lose contact with it. We're just going to stay down and we're going to push that blob. See how I'm sort of pushing it now? I'm pushing it up to that little float layer we put there. And I'm pushing it up to it. Now gel is self-leveling. And I have specifically made this gel easier to work with because it's a little thicker. That's what makes it easier. You guys ever worked with a runny gel? That can be really difficult. So we're just going to slide this down. Now I am attaching the sides. I'm letting the product attach to the sides, but I am pulling it down as we go. But I'm not disconnecting from that blob, okay? Now gel is self-leveling. A lot of our products are. Even acrylic can be self-leveling. But gel is the most, especially if you've got a very, very low viscosity, which will make it very loose and it'll just run everywhere. More like gel polish can do that. It even has a bit of a thicker, but some gels you can purchase that are quite runny, they're great for experts. But when you are learning how to do gel, and even thereon in your career, a thicker one's much easier to handle. So when you get the gel the way you like, and that's looking pretty good, I will take that and I will give it a nuke. And that's my first layer of gel that I've just put down. We want to make sure that there's no dripping on the sides. Now, because it is a thicker viscosity, hopefully that'll be eliminated. That's why a thicker viscosity is so much easier when you're especially learning how to do gel. That's why I included it in this kit. The other reason why I wanted to include clear is because when you're doing the curing, you want to make sure that it is curing all the way through. So if it's not curing, if it's a color gel, that could confuse it, might be thinking that you're doing something wrong, whereas it could be other issues at play. So by me having a clear one, it's going to help ensure that it cures all the way through and that you are doing it right. Okay, so once it is fully cured, we're going to cure that for 60 seconds. We bring it out of the lamp. We want to take a look at it. And we want to say to ourselves, okay, well, I want to build a bit more on there. I haven't got enough. I want to play some more, so I'm going to build some more. Do not remove that sticky layer. We don't want to remove the inhibition layer whatsoever. The reason being is because gel sticks to sticky gel. If you do remove it for any reason, let's say you think, oh, it's ready to go, I'm going to remove it. If you remove that, we want to buff it before we put any more gel back on it, because gel doesn't really like to stick to the inhibition layer that's been removed, right? It doesn't want to do that. It wants to stick to that sticky layer. So once you remove it, you remove the adhesion. So then you have to buff it. Gel loves to stick to buffed things. So if it is buffed, it will stick. But if it's not, and you've removed it, it might not stick. So don't do that. We're going to leave that sticky layer there. And let's say we want to add another. So we're going to go in smoothly, no stirring. And we're going to grab ourselves another layer. And we're just going to remove that. I mean, you can do all sorts of things. You can go like that, you can go like that, whatever. You'll develop your own style. And then I'm going to put that blob on there. And I'm again going to bump that right up to the cuticle. Get that in there, make a nice apex, and then I'm going to walk it down again. Now again, depending on what level you're at, don't expect to build yourself a beautiful, perfect nail thinking, oh, I could have put that on people. These nails are not reflective of what real nails are, but they are a great way to begin and build some confidence before you start working on people. We're going to go back and forth all the way down, making sure that we're getting product all the way to the very end. Right? Lovely. Okay, so this is a little bit more advanced depending on what level that you're at. We always want to get that nice arch. And if you find it's kind of rolling off to the sides, you can turn that nail upside down a little bit. Make it parallel to your table or the floor. And depending on where you put this nail, like if you put it here, that drip is going to go here. If you put it back this way, the drip is going to be making the apex a little bit higher here. If you do it here, it's going to go more in the center. So we do want a bit more of an apex. So I'm going to just slightly, to exaggerate like that, just slightly toward there. And it helps bring all the product back to the center rather than you picking it up with your brush this way. We just simply work with the gravity. Turn it upside down, let the gravity flow, and make a nice apex effortlessly. And you can check it. Going like that looks pretty good. Oh, it's a little lopsided this way, so I'm going to turn it a little bit this way. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to show you real quick in this camera up above. So I'm just going to turn it sideways real quick to show you what a nice arch we have. See that? Look at that. That did all the work for you. Look at that beautiful arch. I love it. Okay, I'm just going to check it this way because I was showing you, so it might have fallen, and it did just a tiny bit. So I'm going to move it that way a little bit. Let the gravity work with you. It's your friend when it comes to gel. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to give it a bit of a nuke. So I am going to cure every layer for 60 seconds because I want to make sure it's fully cured. Okay, so after I've done that, I'm going to take a good look at it and see if I need to add any more. And again, I don't want you to feel like you have to produce a nail that's presentable even. When you're first learning, I used to call them turtles. All my students, we used to call them all because we were working with acrylic. And you literally make piles and piles because it dries way before you get a chance to do it. So we make piles of acrylic and it got so lumpy, we just called them turtles. But you have to make your turtles, right? Before you make any nail that looks decent. Okay, so that looks nice. I think I like that. Okay, so I'm now going to want to buff it. But before I do that, I've got to take care of me brush because I want to make sure that my brush is always going to be happy. So I'm going to take a lint-free pad. So what we want to do is get rid of the excess gel. It's not going to be much. You can put it in the pot if you want, but I would just release just a little bit. Now you can see there's a lot of gel in there, right? I'm going to leave that in there because that's going to condition my brush. And that's the beauty of a cap. So I'm taking care of my brush because I want to make sure that the next time I go to use my brush that it's happy and well conditioned. So then I'm going to put my cap right on it. Just make sure you don't bend any of the bristles back. There's nothing more frustrating. I know I'm laughing, but it's not a laughing matter, let me tell you. Okay, so I'm also going to put the lid on my Suzies glass nails simply because when I'm filing, I don't want to get any of them bits in there. So that's what I do. I clean up in between because I just don't want to contaminate anything. Okay, so this is when, remember that little pot of alcohol that we put in there? Getting all ready in case I need it. Well, I need it now. So I'm just going to get my lint-free pad. And I'm just going to dip a little bit into the alcohol. And then I'm just literally going to wipe that inhibition dispersion layer right off of there. I just call it sticky layer. Okay, so that's all nicely gone. Make sure to put my lid back on it. Now, in this kit, you've got 3 sculpting files. Coarse and medium are the ones you want to sculpt with. And coarse, I highly recommend when you're doing the hard shaping like right away and you're taking a lot of product off. Okay, so I'm going to now sculpt this nail. Now, you're probably thinking, and a lot of nail technicians have thought this over the years, but I'm going to tell you they're wrong. A lot of times, the beautiful thing about gel is you put it on, it self-levels. You can just put it on and go. But there is the one step that some nail technicians forget and they skip to try to save time, and I get it. You still have to buff it. No matter how great you are at applying that gel, you still have to buff it. Because even the best I can feel, and there's a little dip sometimes somewhere, it's not going to be perfect. So we definitely want to file. Even though it looks great, I could top coat that and go. If I'm to feel that there are places in here that it's not 100% perfect. And chromes and things like that will pick it up. Okay, let me just grab a mask. So we do want to buff this nail and sculpt it. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. I am now sculpting. getting into too many details on filing, what you want to do is make all the high points level with all the lower points. And if it's too low, you'll see a shiny or an unfiled spot. That means that gap is too low. If you've got some high points, then they're the ones that are going to be mostly buffed, right? Because they're trying to match the low points. But that's the best way to make sure you have a nice, round, smooth, non-bumpy nail. Okay, so once you've made your nail the way you'd like it to be, I'm going to use the medium and just gently go over the whole thing. You can even see a bit of it, how it changes with the different grit. And then I'm going to use the medium to start to fine-tune that shape. And then I'm going to use my fine to really smooth and fine-tune that final shape. I can go underneath. I can go on the sides. And the most important is that free edge. Making it nice and smooth. And then I'm going to take my sanding sponge and I'm going to go over top of the whole thing, making it nice and smooth and preparing it for gel polish. Okay, back to me duster. I'm going to actually give it a nice little dust, my fingers included, a nice little dust. That's nice. Okay, let me get this mask off. It's too hot. Okay, then I'm going to bring my bridge back into play because I'm going to use that to help adhese for adhesion, the gel polish. So when I put my bridge, remember the tip on the bridge? You massage it into circles. You don't have to put too much on. We don't want to waste more than we need, right? So just massage it. I would start on like the apex area and then I move slightly into the cuticle, just so I'm not oversaturating the cuticle. And then I'm just going over top of the whole nail. Okay, and I'm going to give that a 60-second nuke. Okay, so let me put my bridge away. Now we're ready for the gel coat. Okay, might as well put this beautiful color on. Okay, we're going to put a 60-second cure on that. Okay, we're just putting on a second coat because I really want it to look quite solid. And because of the dark tip underneath, I can see it just a tiny little bit. I mean, I'm getting picky, but we've got time, right? Such a pretty color. Okay. Give it another nuke. And no kit is complete without a top coat. So let's put our no wipe top coat. I call mine Reveille because whenever I did videos, I used to say, let's check out the Reveille shots, and we always put a top coat on before. So I thought that was fitting. So I'm going to put some Reveille on. Beautiful. Okay, let's give it a nuke. Okay, we've got our nice finished nail. Congratulations if you went along and did that with me. You did your first nail. Okay, so now to top it off, this isn't a real finger, of course, but we do have cuticle oil that we'd like to put on. I have mine. This one in particular is cherry blossom. I have several different flavors. I always say flavors because I named them after almost like you could taste it. The reason why we're using oil is because when we're working on the nail, we need that area oil-free and dry. So of course the skin around the nail is all a part of it, and it kind of gets dry looking. So we want to add that in there, and it sinks into the sidewalls and the nail folds and near the proximal nail fold and the cuticle, and it just soaks in there and gets rid of all that dry look. Now we do want that dry look when we're working, but when we're finished, you want to add a nice little drop, and I always add it on the cuticle area. And here's a real finger. I'll just show you a real finger right at the cuticle area. And I put it in a dropper so we don't have to literally touch the skin. You just drop it and massage it in. Okay, this is a bit much because I did it twice, but you don't need that much. But it does replenish the oils into the finger. So I kind of massage it like this for the customer, and I massage it in. And sometimes I'll even go underneath a little bit, underneath there, just because the whole area has been very dry. That's why we add cuticle oil to a look, just to give it a nice finished look. Even when the customer dries the hands or washes the hands, I find it never really gets in there. You need that oil to sink right into that cuticle space, and this, like I say, the sidewalls, to really get rid of that dryness. That's why we use oil. Okay, so that's what we've done. We've got the oil in there, made it look pretty. Isn't that pretty? So you did your first nail. That's awesome. Okay, I'm not going to get into it now, but the kit also includes forms, but I'm going to have another video for that because that's an entirely different nail we can build by using the forms, and that'll be in another one. Okay, well, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy your beautiful builder gel kit, and this instruction is going to help you along. I have a lot more videos coming with this new kit. I'll catch you guys in the next video.